Calling the regular meeting on Wednesday, October 9th to order at 7:03 PM. All stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brusher.
Here.
Councilmember Coyle. Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Patel.
Here.
Councilmember Patil.
Here.
Councilmember Pointer.
Present.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Here.
All right, Madam Clerk, please read the adequate notice.
Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975 has been provided by the annual notice sent to the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger, Desi Talk, and News India Times on December 12th, 2023, and posted in Main Lobby Municipal Complex on that same date.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting. A quick reminder before we begin. Only one speaker is allowed to speak at a time, so the rest of us can listen. Everyone will have a chance to share their perspectives, so please be patient. If someone chooses not to follow the respectful process, they will be given a warning, and if they continue with the disruption of the township affairs, they will be removed from this chamber. What is on the agenda tonight? Resolution 576 to Jackson Ave. I believe the council will most probably table this until next meeting, but we will see. Resolution 591. We will be receiving an additional $120,000 for the opioid settlement. I think that brings our total to $4 million. Resolution 593. The redevelopment agents. This is something I've been asking for the administration to appoint someone for a while. I believe this is a great initiative. It is already on the books. It's just not an agency that has been manned. And I'm hoping with this appointment and with continuation of appointments, we can have an agency that works for the township to target all the blights around the town, and hopefully the properties that are not necessarily paying into our taxes can be improved and get more taxes from those same properties and decrease the blight. I think it's a win-win situation. And that's it for me. Let's move on to the approval of minutes, number 5. May I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And may I have a second? Second. That's a motion by Council Vice President, second by Councilman Shmuel. All in favor? Aye. That passes. Moving on to number 6, unfinished business. Ordinance for further consideration for public hearing and final adoption. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance.
An ordinance amending Chapter 37 entitled zoning, Section 61.3 entitled outdoor lighting of the Code of the Township of Edison.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This will be open to public comments. If anybody would like to make a comment on this ordinance.
Dude, the technology in this thing is insane. Watch this.
You are recognized, sir. Can I get the name and address for the record?
Artificial intelligence.
All right, you're recognized.
Recognized. Okay. Yeah, I'm against this ordinance. 0.225. That's 2024. Who gets to decide how bright someone can have their lights? How's the township going to enforce this? I mean, don't people have a legal right to put lights on their property? Attorney?
Yes, and the township has the right to regulate the intensity, brightness, and positioning of those lights.
Who gets to decide how intense these lights can be, quote unquote intense?
the ordinance will decide that.
The ordinance is based on standards promulgated by national codes, recommendations of experts and engineers in the field.
And who's this ordinance targeting?
It doesn't target anyone specifically. It's meant to address an issue in the township.
There's an existing issue, so it's targeting that issue. So who are you, once you have on the books, who are you intending to use it on? Are you intending to use it on Top Golf? Are you intending to use it on McDonald's? I think I'd like you to answer that.
The existing ordinance already addresses those, as do other ordinances within the township. They're already subject to that as part of their approval process, planning, design, and they're subject to that the same as any other business is subject to it.
So I can't put up Christmas lights?
This ordinance doesn't prohibit that.
Okay. So who's it going to be used against?
Those structures and properties which violate it.
Which properties are those?
I do not know. I cannot predict the future.
Council President, which properties have violated this ordinance if it took effect?
As the lawyer said, we cannot predict the future.
Well, I'm not asking about the future. I'm asking, who did Mayor Joshi decide to start targeting this time?
And we can go further details as to how this issue came about, but it was not necessarily targeting anybody. There's an issue in town that is brought up to our attention by Councilman Edison, and this was an issue that council agreed that we need to address moving forward, so that other neighbors would not have to suffer through bright lights.
Okay. I'm against this, the whole thing. How much time do I have left on that? 2 minutes. What about lights to grow marijuana? Would those be prohibited?
I think this is going off topic. This is outdoor lighting.
I want to grow a little bit outside too.
If they're mounted on the outside of the building, then yes, they would be subject to the ordinance.
I'm against the ordinance. I'm against it. Can you name one good use this ordinance would benefit? Because I don't got no UFO lights outside my house, so.
Speaker has 1 minute.
All right. It's just rather strange to me. Who put this ordinance on the agenda?
The council.
Specifically? Who on the council recommended it?
The issue was brought up by Councilman Pato, as already stated, and then the council agreed that we need to bring this up.
AJ, can you put in here that we're not including any lights for marijuana grow?
I would answer all your questions once you are done with 6 minutes. I don't want to take your time.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else on ordinance 2235? All right, may I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion closed.
Second.
All right, that's a motion by Councilman Pointer, second by Councilman Coyle. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, can I get a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
May I have a second?
Second.
That's the motion by Councilman Pato, second by Councilman Pointer. Any council comments?
Thank you, Council President, and thank you this council for putting this ordinance. I understand that there were several questions on this ordinance, but this is very specific. Our current ordinance doesn't reflect the control on the intensity of the light, especially for the residential, though it applies to the commercial as well. With the new development that is happening all around the town, now the new design, people started putting the lights on the second floor, bright lights, not one, every feet and a half, and that does cause an issue, especially in the backside with the neighbors. It's getting in their bedroom, literally. It's like, if you understand what happened to Topwell, that's exactly the situation in the neighboring community, and hopefully this ordinance will put some sort of a restriction on those types of lights. As well, this also covers to the greatest extent the similar things for the commercial as well. It's not about the privacy, it is not about the safety, but it is about the controlling how many lights and how much light you can. It's basically light trespassing. That's this ordinance addressing the light trespassing to the neighborhood. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Councilman Patel. Any other council members? Okay, as for me, I fully agree in support of this ordinance. I believe it's part of being a good neighbor, not to annoy your neighbor. And I think this essentially regulates that, and I hope the council passes this. Madam, may I get roll calls?
Councilmember Brusher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris. Yes. Councilmember Plantier.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. Moving on to number 7. Public comments on the resolution. So this is specifically to the proposed resolutions. If anybody has any comments.
Sue Malone Barbery, 5 Pleasant Ave.
You're recognized.
Resolution 593/10/2024, providing the municipal council's advice and consent to the appointment of the mayor, by the mayor of, I can't pronounce the first name, Mr. Patel, to the redevelopment agency. I have some questions about that. I am in favor of a redevelopment agency, but I'd like to know, is this the first appointment to the redevelopment agency? Do any of you know who this person is? And can you tell me why you think this appointment should be approved? Have you seen a resume? What are this person's qualifications? Is this person connected in any way to the mayor or anyone on the council? I understand there can be 7 commissioners on the agency. We have some familiarity with this because one of our Clara Barton neighbors, Tom O'Shea, was actually a commissioner on a redevelopment agency for Sayreville. We brought this up with the mayor early on. Tom made a proposal, and I think he would really be a great person for this agency. I can circle back on that. But I just reread the ordinance, and apparently there's some new rules in 2023 for a redevelopment agency, and I think a town of our size can actually have 9 commissioners versus 7, and with a maximum of 3. If we go to 9, 3 township officials on that board. I would like those questions answered, but I also would like to urge the council by creating a redevelopment agency, which I think we really, really need. It's important. But you as a body need to be very, very, very thoughtful about who is appointed to this agency. By its very nature, they have a great deal of power and responsibility. And I think people should be vested in what's right for the individual redevelopment zones. You know, I'm talking about Amboy. I think it's unique in that it's an entire partial corridor. I know other towns have residents or people with interest at stake in their individual redevelopment areas. And I would urge you to speak to Tom. He has a resume, he has qualifications for this, and I know he would like to be on the agency. So, I, again, would like the questions asked about requirements, the person being appointed. I have nothing against them, but I'd like to know, like, what are their qualifications to be on this agency? I think a redevelopment agency will have a great impact on the town, but because they do have that kind of power, it can be good impact or not so good impact. And this council holds the keys to making sure this is an effective redevelopment agency.
Thank you, Sue, and I
Thank
agree.
you.
With great responsibility comes, with great power comes great responsibility as Spider-Man. In terms of the first appointment, yes, it is the first appointment. We have this on the books, but we never appointed anybody onto it, so this is the first member that is going to be appointed to it. Do we know the person? I personally don't know the person. I can't speak for the rest of the council, but I do not know the person. We do get the resume for the person. He is an engineer by trade, and the resume seems good, to me at least. But again, this will be for the council to decide. Qualification, again, the resume is what we have to go with. Connections, I can't speak for that. I don't know, who knows who. But based on the resume, I think this would be a great first candidate. At least we'll get something on the books and get something started. That's all I have for all the questions that you asked. Okay? Thank you, Sue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
The attorney, well, first of all, I think this is good, to have the agency. But what is the agency's actual power to be able to do? Do they have the right, let's say, to negotiate and circumvent planning or zoning? Or are they more like a guidance to guide developers and guide building in the town?
So, I'm not an expert on redevelopment agencies and everything that they do. I know Mr. Renone is far more familiar with that, and I know he was very helpful in getting this done with the mayor. My understanding is that they are more of a guide and only have as much authority and power to act as they are granted or as is approved, so that they can make recommendations. They can come up with plans for certain things, but they can't act independently from the greater township interest without oversight. So that's not something that I believe that we need to be concerned about. There are certain aspects to it that they can be granted the authority to act and then have some leeway to act within the grant of that authority, but that authority has to be granted to them.
Okay.
But I think a longer, more in-depth conversation with Mr. Renone will actually give you everything that you need. Because, like I said, I'm not an expert on redevelopment agencies themselves and how they function entirely. So I know he can answer every one of those questions for you.
I've seen them do some good things in the state in certain areas. I do know that it depends on the individual that are on there, right? And the connections and the people that they know and the relationships they have, as far as it being successful or not. So it might not have, but like a degree in engineering might not be that important. But if they have connections with certain types of businesses or, different types of groups, whether it's hotels or, it seems like everybody has a specialty that they kind of are part of. I think it's a good thing. I think it's great for us to try to do something here. So, thank you.
Oh, yes. And sorry, I forgot about one question for Tom O'Shea. I will pass that on to the mayor, but the mayor is the person that decides.
The mayor has his.
No, you can't talk. I'm sorry, your time's up. Anybody else that would like to speak?
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle.
You recognize.
Thank you. On the resolution 593, my question for this is, was this agency posted that they were looking for people? Were their applications filled out? Was there an interview policy? And I did hear you say that he's the first of up to 9. Did I miss? I didn't hear that.
Our ordinance is 7.
Okay.
Yeah, after the vote.
Okay. And my other question is, what will be their ultimate goal? Because I know in the past, there have been, I've heard anyway, that there are different places around town that are in need of development. So will this agency be overlooking those needs and looking for new leads? And what qualifications on their application makes them appropriate for this position, is my first item. The second one is R611, where a resolution awarding payment to various nonprofit organizations in a dollar amount of $224,000. I know I had heard that you were working on a new formula, but is this figure on the old formula and you haven't come up with a new formula yet? Is my next one. And number 3, the resolution awarding Brian Scheck to the Veteran Memorial Committee. Same thing, was that something that was posted, applied for? And what is their goal moving forward for that committee?
So let's start with the first one. This is an agency that's been on the books. I am not sure when it got on our books. It has been on our books, but it has never held members. So this was something I've been asking the mayor to appoint people to. And the process is, yes, you have to apply and you have to, the mayor selects. As to what his particular process is, I am not sure. The mayor selects, it comes to this body to approve. The first member he chose is Ratilal Patel, and it comes to us to approve him or not. What is their ultimate goal? Their ultimate goal is to essentially find any blight around town, any property that is not being used to the fullest. It is just sitting around, and we have plenty of properties, I'm sure you are aware. And so, unfortunately, we don't have a particular group that is focused on it, and I'm hoping that this agency, their sole focus being redevelopment agency, is to redevelop these properties and bring it in front of us or move that process along faster so we can get those properties up and running, remove the blight, get more taxes from the same property that are just sitting around and not doing anything for the rest of us. So that is the goal. The qualifications, I believe it is engineering would be good, but again, I think as it comes to us, each individual members, we'll have to judge them based on their resume. That would be my recommendation. Unfortunately, I can't speak for the rest of the council. The second question, the old formula, 611.
Wait.
Yes.
The first one was posting. Was it posted?
I'm sorry.
So how do you apply for something that you don't know about? Especially for a committee that hasn't had
I'm not sure if
membership.
they posted it because this is a restriction. Did you guys post this?
How do you
Typically, it's
apply?
postings for any committees or commissions are done through the list that the clerk posts.
Okay.
And this is one of them?
Was brought to our attention when there was discussion about the redevelopment agency. So just for reference, this is the ordinance 1626 from 2008 references the duties, powers, and the makeup of the commission. So I'd reference that for Ms. Conway.
Okay. Sorry, it's complicated. 611, it is the old formula. The new formula, they haven't finalized it because They played around with some numbers, but it seems like if we change it this last second, the teams that are depending on this money would be kind of really in a dire strait. So rather than throw them off and completely throw off their year, we decided to keep this old formula in, and we'll work on it to finalize the final numbers. This 623, Brian Streck. This is actually an error on our part, because this is something I wanted to talk about at the work session, which I missed. But we have committees that are not active. Brian Streck is the person that actually does all the veteran stuff. He is our sole lead for all the veteran stuff. So when we dedicate streets, street signs, everything, he is the person that we go to. But he's not on the Veterans Committee. And he just does all these things because he was the sole person, and we didn't realize that he's not on the committee. And he pointed this error out to us, and it was an easy solution saying, hey, yes, you belong on this committee. You're doing the work, you're just not on the committee. And this was something I wanted to bring up during the work session, that maybe we need to look back at our committees and figure out which committees are actually being utilized to their full potential and which ones are not. And if the ones that are not, maybe we can remove them from the books and then reassign them so that they can work as intended. But again, this is something I'll discuss at the next work session. It's not going to be discussed today.
That's it.
Joyce Freeman.
Since I raised a lot of money for the veterans.
Name and address.
Sorry, Joyce Freeman.
You're recognized.
Since I raised a lot of money for this particular committee, the Memorial Committee, and what was discussed about this committee was that it didn't have a formal ordinance. It didn't see the length of the time of the people, and it didn't have what the actual instructions are. So I would like to see them if that's been done by now, because I'm very, very concerned about that, because raised a lot of money to fix up that memorial over there. I raised a lot of money to get it fixed, and there's nothing we've done for the veterans at all, but they'll get done because next year's election year. That's 623. All right, moving back along. Discussing the redevelopment. Now, the redevelopment, when I was president of the council, the redevelopment, we had 3 people. We would meet in the room. We have a session with our then lawyer, Northgrave. Northgrave would discuss with us what the redevelopment is and the particulars and stuff of what needed to be redeveloped in each part of town. Now, I see why they're apprehensive about Mr. Patel to the redevelopment agency, because I haven't seen the resume, I haven't seen the connections of anybody, and I know, like you said, you don't know who's connected to who, and the mayor, well, it didn't connect it to the mayor because he makes all the decisions, correct? And about the awarding of the nonprofit organizations, I think you answered that because you were said this is the old farm formula, which is not a fair formula, because as I noticed, as I was after living here for such a long time, I noticed that I see kids walking around with soccer balls now with nowhere to go. And I just see pickleball fields, but nowhere for the soccer kids to go. So I'm hoping we do better by our children with our leagues.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Dr. Nasser, Pleasant Avenue.
You're recognized.
I would like to table 576, hoping you guys were discussing about tabling it anyway. I do not want us to be tied to the project, so you said that if we accept it, then we really can't reject it because that'll cause problems in the future. We have residents and of any kind of side, whatever position they have, I would like to have them go ahead and address their concerns. And also I've been in contact with Councilman Pointer. I don't know if you were able to digest that email. Even if you didn't, I don't know if they were good ideas or not, but I think there are other things that we should consider before we make a decision that's kind of finalized today. as the issue is still fluid. 593, I would like more information, maybe even table this position that we're offering right now. Again, I'm concerned about how this person was selected. You said it was by the mayor, I believe? Okay. Does anyone else have any consideration in who should be nominated for the position? It's his sole discretion. Again, you said that he had a resume, and it was shared with the council? Everyone got it? Okay. You said his qualifications are that he is an engineer. Can we be specific about what kind of engineer is he? Is he a chemical engineer? Because that doesn't really help with what we're trying to go for. Any comment to that one?
I'm going to wait for you done with that.
Okay, I prefer to do one by one, so that way if I have to ask a follow-up question, it'd be easier for me. All right. Is he also the third vice chair of the EDO? Because I'd rather have somebody that is not, having a political position. I would just like to have something that's clean. So I would even suggest myself as well. I think that we need to do a better vetting process. Does this person have any properties in any area that's an area of redevelopment? Because that would be a conflict of interest, and I don't think that's a good idea. Let's see what else. Again, you said that he's not related to anyone, but you're not sure on the dais or to the mayor or something like that. But I think that that's something that we really should go ahead and take a look at. There are just too many connections everywhere in Edison. When I moved in here, that's something I learned. When I tried to get my job here, that was one of the things that they said that they wanted to make sure that it was somebody fresh that wasn't related to somebody, and I think that's a good idea. So I think that it's a good idea. The first pick I really think should be Township, because he's the one that actually said that we should bring this back. And it's been in dormancy. So it would show good faith, and it would be a really good idea to have somebody who actually had a position in a redevelopment agency that actually knows what it's all about and can accomplish what needs to be done. I'm not sure who the other person is exactly. I kind of know of the person sort of, but I think that somebody who actually has led one of these would be your first pick. I'm not sure why this is our first pick. Again, conflicts of interest are things that I have an issue with and the public has an issue with. And Tom was going to make it today, but I kind of told him at the last minute, and he found out that he actually had something else to do. Otherwise, he would be up here telling you all the details and everything that he's done. He will be a great addition to this. That's it.
Resolution 576, yeah, I believe we are tabling this, as I said in the President's presidential remarks, because I think they are meeting with the Jackson Ave residents, the administration is meeting with the Jackson Ave residents, and I'm hoping that after that conversation, we can make a better decision, and that's the reason I'll be in favor of tabling that. In terms of Resolution 583, unfortunately, any recommendations that comes to this council will come through the mayor. So if the issue is what the mayor picks is a problem, unfortunately, we won't really have a choice because by the ordinance, the mayor picks.
But you could decide not to vote for that person.
We can.
And so that's why I'm hoping that you've done the due diligence, everyone that's up there, just go ahead and check that this
But I
person.
believe we have 7 vacancies right now, and I believe this is the first candidate they put out. And he is an engineer. Actually, I can't recall what type of engineer he is. Does anybody have that resume in front of them? And I do believe he is part of the EDO somehow. I don't remember that on the resume.
Council President, he is the third vice chair of the EDO.
So I feel like that's not a good idea to have somebody with that kind of position, that kind of power. And I know how the EDO works, and I know how people get elected, and this is not a smart idea. You better take this off yourself.
And he is a chemical engineer.
Okay, so that's not really helpful. A civil engineer would be much better. Or somebody
If you want me to finish my conversation, I would love to finish my thought.
Okay, so
Thank you.
when can I talk then?
When I'm done, I'll let you finish.
Whoa, thank you, sir. That's why the time expired, that's my problem.
Okay, so then I'll let you finish.
Well, so I'm not allowed to go ahead and comment on whatever you
But let
say.
me finish my thought,
Okay,
and then
time on
you're
now,
welcome
go
to
ahead.
Stop. Your questions, which you asked, and I'm trying to answer, is that he is a chemist, engineer in chemical
bachelor's in chemical engineering. I understand what you're saying about being EDO and conflict of interest. Unfortunately, it is for this council to decide, and I'm okay with it because I believe someone who is a resident of this Edison is good and has good intention for the town and can make an impartial decision, can be impartial on an agency. And I believe Tom O'Shea will be a great candidate, but again, it is not up to this council. It is for the mayor to bring him to this council. And if the mayor brings him to this council, then I believe he will approve. But it is a process that we have to go through. We have 6 more members to appoint before this agency can even function as intended. It hasn't even started, and we're already infighting about the most basic of facts. I agree with you that this needs to be done, and this needs to be done to make better choices for the town. And the best way to do that is let the council do their job and make decisions based on what the agent, what is being brought in front of us. Thank you. Anybody that would like to speak?
Good evening, Council. Charlie Cradaville from New Brunswick. I'm the editor at Brunswick today. Appreciate the discussion on some of these items, so I have a question on the redevelopment item as well. May I ask when and why and how did the redevelopment agency become defunct or you know, nothing but vacancies?
Okay, anything else? I'll answer all the questions that you answered.
Well, similar to the last speaker, I do like to ask follow-up questions, so could you just answer this one now and you can cut into my time to do it?
Okay, this
Council
agency,
President, just point of order.
can you pause the question?
I just would hope that you would follow the same procedure.
I agree. I
You're
think I'm
changing,
gonna,
you're just, point of order, you're changing it, and I don't mind which way you do it, but you started with answering questions at the end, and now you're having back and forth. It's your choice, but if you're gonna do it for one, you have to do it for all.
Okay.
Thank you, Council President.
we're gonna pause, I will wait till the end, so when you're done.
For the record, you did answer at least one of Ms. Conway's questions in real time. Can I just get an answer? It's your discretion. I don't see the problem with providing an answer.
I would prefer to wait, so if you would like to continue with your questionings, I would prefer you.
I respect your preference. I wish you would respect mine. I'll move on to 592, corrective action plan. And I believe this is probably associated with the final resolution, the annual audit. Can you tell us what findings were in the audit and what the corrective action plan is?
So what was in the annual audit and what is in the corrective plan? Okay, anything else?
Yeah, that's all for now. I'll hold the floor in case I have a follow-up.
Okay, in terms of, I can answer the resolution 593. I am not sure if it ever became defunct or if it was actually anyone appointed in the first place. I think it was added to the books as far as I can recall, or at least as far as I know, and it was never appointed. Does anybody else know if any members were added and then removed?
No, the redevelopment agency always existed since long time. I was a member of the redevelopment agency. Though we did not appoint a member from public, but this is the first time we are appointing a member from the public. It was more council representation, plus the planning board, plus the redevelopment attorney, and along with mayor's representation. That's how the board was earlier.
And when was it last defunct?
I was there for 3 years until last administration. We continued there.
Okay, and then
It's only council.
it was only council only, and then
No speaker.
okay. Sonia, I will ask you to answer the questions on 592 and the corrective action plan.
Sure, I have finance here as well. So with regard to the annual audit, as you all know, we typically do about this time, followed by the annual audit is the corrective action plan based on the recommendations and findings. So if you would like, I can
Nobody can hear.
those recommendations, however it's presented to you. If there is a specific question with regard to the recommendations, just let me know.
The whole
is posted on the website, so if you want to go through it in details, you can. And it's also in the book, if you want to go through it in detail. Unfortunately, I don't think we can read, because there's quite a bit of material that we can just read through.
Could you just give a summary of the findings? What were the problems and how are you going to correct them?
Sure. Sonia?
So without going in great detail, again, as you mentioned, it is in the packet. We covered some of it on Monday. However, some of them are just general ledger, accounting functions, paperwork, submissions to our auditors that were then corrected, however noted. So just generally speaking, nothing of, I would say that would be of great concern to the township. We're in pretty good financial standing, and otherwise there's nothing else I could report on this.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm sure you can see why it helps to be able to ask follow-up questions. It sounds like the audit was not a clean audit, that there were some problems. And I guess, can you give any details on where those problems were found? Were they in specific departments? And what specifically will be done to correct the problems? I didn't really hear any details on what's going to be done to correct them. I just heard there's some paperwork issues.
Council President, is this audit made public to, is it made available to the public? Okay. It is posted on the website. Okay, thank you.
Well, I don't, does it get posted before?
The recommendation, sorry.
The audit isn't posted until after that's.
After we approve
The
it.
resolution he's speaking about is on the website, and it's in the packet, as they introduced.
Right, so the documents I'm interested in are the audit and the corrective action plan. You're supposed to have a plan for what you're going to do differently, how you're not going to have problems again. And I think for the benefit of everyone here, it would make sense to tell us what you're going to do. It may be on the website, but I'm here now and I want the answer.
Point of order, Council President.
I'm just going to have Sonia, okay, pause this time.
That respect, when did we receive this audit? I just got it myself, but when did the administration receive it?
Few weeks ago or so.
Mr. Credible, is it fair to say that we can get you these answers back by email or in the following council meeting? I mean, to have an immediate answer today, I don't think you'd be asking that to 534 municipalities. Some of these corrections are general to a lot of townships. I'm just being fair to ask. We just received it. I think your questions are important. I think it's fair that the next council meeting or an email in between that, you should get your answer.
Well, I'd like the answer as soon as possible. It sounds like you're about to vote on a corrective action plan, and I think the public would benefit from knowing what's in that, because it may be things that there may be suggestions or input that the public has, but if we don't know what's in the plan, and then you've already adopted it, and then a couple weeks from now I get a copy of it, I don't think that's sufficient. I think that before you vote on it, the public should know what's in it. What's the plan?
Council President?
Councilman Brusher.
Yes, actually, I was going to ask for this to be tabled, just because I received it Monday. It was just because I got it on Monday. And there are comments, and there are recommendations. We haven't really been able to go through them or go to the administration and ask what they're going to do for a corrective action plan on this. So that was my reason to have it tabled. I mean, I thought maybe the administration just got this, like on Thursday, and that's why they gave it to us on Monday. It's like, knowing that they had it for a couple weeks now, I don't know why we weren't presented with this, so we could have asked those questions. If it doesn't end up being tabled, then this evening, I plan on reading the general comments. I mean, it's about 10 or 15 pages, so you'd probably have to be there until about 11 or 12 if we don't table it. And the recommendations. So at least it's out in the public for everybody to see and hear. But I'm pretty sure everybody got it at the Monday's meeting. So I don't think it's unusual to ask for us to just have a little time to look at it, that's all.
That's fair. I just think it was a fundamental thing.
Your time is up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President?
Councilman Quinn.
I do just want to comment that we are required I think by state statute to actually sign off that we read and understand the corrective action plan. So, if he's not listening, I certainly hope everyone has done so before signing that paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, anybody else that would like to speak?
How you doing? My name's Patrick Duff. I'm an investigative journalist. Actually, I'm from Manhattan Heights. So I came up far away to be here tonight. One thing I appreciated about your council prior to the last meeting is that you guys actually have the camera on the speakers, but the camera is not on the speaker anymore, just so everybody in the council knows. I wanted to preface that. If you're gonna hire somebody, if you're gonna vote on somebody, I was listening to you guys on my way up here about the EDA, why not have him here? Why not have the guy here?
Sir, this is resolution only, so do you have a...
Yes, resolution for the person for the hiring for the EDA.
I'm sorry, what?
You're putting somebody on the economic development.
Oh, the redevelopment agency?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the question on the redevelopment agency?
My suggestion is that you would have the candidate here. I mean, if you're gonna hire somebody for the city, wouldn't you wanna ask them some questions? Wouldn't you wanna ask them who they're related to, or if they have any conflicts of interest that might come up later, or what they do, what they've done, what they will do, how much time do they have to actually put forth to the city, and how much are they being paid? Is it a paid position? And is that 6 paid positions, that you have to fill? And how much are they being paid? Is that something you can answer?
Do you have any more questions?
The final question would be just in the sense of if it hasn't been here, right? You haven't had this committee. My recommendation is that as a council, you consider if the committee had been formed before and had been working before, if it ever worked. Try to look at the history of this, not just say, oh, we don't have 6 people or 7 people in this committee. We're going to fill this up. And I'm sure it's going to cost money, but what's the purpose of it is the issue. And I understand redevelopment of these blighted areas, but you'd want to interview the candidates, is my suggestion, because that's, you can't, if somebody doesn't have time, just time alone, that would be the first question. How much time do you have to dedicate to this agency? And which would be the redevelopment agent of your city, and I'm sure they're getting paid. Just a quick example, in Trenton, there's a place called Greater Trenton Inc. The guy that runs that gets $350,000 a year. We still can't figure out what the hell he does. So it's just a title. And they get $1 million a year, so just watch out where you put your money, and if you're gonna hire somebody, just speak to them first.
Just so you know, this is not a paid position.
That's good.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak on the resolution only?
I'm just gonna grab the resolution. Thanks. So I can read off of it. Okay.
Sir, name and address.
Oh, anonymous?
You're recognized.
Thank you. R591?
What's the question on 591?
Okay. Did the township, did they sue a opioid manufacturing facility? I'd like to know what's this from?
Your question is on resolution 591. What is that money from?
Yeah.
That is settlement money for opioid class action lawsuits that happen throughout the states. Right.
I understand that, but why is Edison Township receiving that money rather than families that were affected by it?
Okay, any other questions?
How is the township, a government entity in and of itself, affected by the opioid epidemic? Because Edison Township was never addicted to it, the township never took it. So how are you guys receiving money and not families?
Okay, so the question is, how is Edison Township, as a township, affected by opioid pandemic?
I didn't say that, I said as a government entity, how can you receive the money and not the families affected by it?
So how is the
It's rather strange to me.
Okay, so how is the government entity Edison Township gaining money for opioid settlement? Any other question?
Yeah, are you gonna distribute that money to families that were affected by the opioid epidemic? Who holds on to this money?
Okay, how are we going to distribute that money? Any other question? Do you have any other questions or no?
Yeah, I'm looking for the resolution right now.
Oh.
How much time do I have, Marlena? R62, 622, I'm against it. R623, I'm against it. R624, I'm against it. R619, I'm against it. R618, I'm against it. R617, I'm against it. R615, I'm against it. R614, I'm against it. R613, I'm against it. R612, I was about to be supportive of it, but I'm against it. R611, against it. R610, against it. R609, against it. How much time? 2.5 minutes? Wow, that was only 30 seconds? When you got a migraine, Councilman, for extra time.
I would like you to focus on the resolution, please.
Yes. Yes. Which resolution is the audit?
Fix 2-4 is the audit.
Which resolution has supercharged entertainment in it? Supercharged resolution? What number?
622.
Okay. Brian Shrek, is that Captain Shrek? Former Captain Shrek? Not former Captain Shrek? A different Shrek? There's so many of them. Okay, I'll support 6. Did I say I was against the 62? Well, I didn't even look at it. I'll support it for now. And, R619, we have enough vehicles, too many vehicles. Code enforcement's vehicle looks like what? It's like, do they really need that vehicle? It looks like they're driving around the President of the United States in that vehicle. Yeah, I'm against the consent agenda. In its entirety, but I want to know why the township is receiving money for the settlement since the township itself is not affected by it. Thank you.
Your time's up. Edison Township was part of the lawsuit that the state made to all the opioid companies, including all the distribution.
What are they whispering to the public?
They are, sir.
Point of order.
Sir,
Point of order.
that is not a valid point of order. That is part of the legislative process. They are entitled to speak to each other without it being on the record. If you continue to interrupt with respect to that issue, it is not going to be addressed, okay?
Edison Township was part of the lawsuit that the state essentially brought forward to the distributors, pretty much anyone that participated in the opioid epidemic. And as being part of those lawsuits, we are entitled to some money. As to how, have so far collected $4 million, and we are limited as to what we can do with those money. It is not to be added to our operation fund to build roads or anything like that. We have to use it for the victims of opioid epidemics. And I think this was a question I brought to Sonia last time, and there were some suggestions that the BA made. I would ask her to repeat them if she can.
Sure, as part of our addiction services that we already provide, we can add to some staffing. We are adding some programs by affected persons, residents, if you will. So it's programming and staffing that we're only allowed to. There's quite a list, but those two in particular we have now taken action on.
Thank you. And Brian Sheck, I believe, is not the one that's the captains. Anybody else that would like to speak on the resolutions?
Anthony Dameron, Wiley Ave.
You recognize?
For 622, the license, game license, is that just to operate, I guess, for the racing? And is that something that they have to do every single year, is apply every year? And if so, I know there was a lot of problems there in the beginning when it first opened. A lot of police activity and stuff that went on there. Is there any stipulations in terms of holding them accountable for anything, making sure that doesn't happen again? I don't know how it's been lately, but I know that there was, I believe, some problems there. And again, if that's something that you have to apply for every year, thank you, Council President.
Anthony, so I think this is something that they have to apply every year. I don't think you can put stipulation on the license as far as I know. What is the scheme?
It's a state requirements, right? It's state gaming requirements. They are subject to certain regulations, but those are statutory, and those would go into whether or not the license can be approved. The fact that it is up here indicates that they've met the requirements for it, and now it's on the council to approve that license.
Okay. And the question that Anthony brought up was there were a lot of
there were problems there.
police activity.
Just to be clear, is
trending across Twitter. He's at the bottom. He's
Is it for gaming license? I think a gaming license. I think a gambling. So is this gaming license for? It's not for gambling. So I mean, what's? I don't understand the gaming part. I know you said the state it has to issue it, but what do they need a gaming license for? I don't understand.
It's for like
I might be missing something.
arcade games.
Arcade games?
Yeah. So we have a license for yes, and I have a license for the privilege of having arcade games for life. That's the simplest way to do it.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the resolution? All right. Motion to close public portion.
Motion closed.
May I have a second?
Second.
That's a motion by Councilman President, second by Councilman Pointer. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the public portion is closed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Any council member would like to pull any particular resolution?
Council President?
Councilman Pointer.
576.
576.
593, 623, and 624.
I want 593. What was the next one?
623 and 624.
Anything else? Okay. So the consent agenda will be.
Councilman Gresham, did you mean 593 or 592? I just want to make sure, because I know what you had said about 592. I just want to make sure that we have the right numbers for you. 592 is the resolution approving the corrective action plan for the audit, which is related to 624, which is the annual report of the audit. 593 is the resolution for the redevelopment agency.
Well, actually, 593, the 624 was the resolution for the audit, which has the general comments and whatever might, mistakes or right, I was looking to just table this until we could send the questions to the administration to ask exactly what we're going to do to kind of fix these things.
And then you might want to also request 592 because that's the corrective action plan for the audit. That's why I wanted to make sure that you had it.
Then, okay, we can pull them and put them together, I guess.
You're going to be pulling 592, 593, 623, 624 for Councilman Rusher, and 576 for Councilman Pointer. Anybody else that would like to pull for separate vote? All right, seeing none, the consent agenda will be from 577 through 587 through 622 minus 592 and 593 in the middle. So may I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion to approve the consent agenda. May I have a second?
Second.
All right, that's a motion by Councilman Panto, seconded by Council Vice President. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brusher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle. Yes. Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. Okay, starting with 576.
Thank you, Council President. I'm asking this to be tabled just in fairness to the residents. There is a meeting scheduled for next Tuesday. The letter that was sent out with the details of the grant. So just in fairness, to make sure that there's a distinct opportunity to provide comment from the residents, I think it's fair that we just table it to the next meeting, which would be October 23rd.
Okay, so you want to call for a motion to table?
That would be a motion to table until Wednesday, October 23rd.
Second. All right, so I have a motion on to the floor to table our resolution 576 to October 23rd by Councilman Pointer, second by Councilman Patil. And clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brusher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris. Yes. Councilmember Patil.
Yes, to table.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. Councilman Brusher, I will let you.
Okay, the 592 and the 624, I'd like to propose a motion just to table this till our next meeting. Just to kind of review this with the administration, which are the concerns that the residents talked about, as opposed to going through all of these here at the meeting today. So I'd like to see if we can table it so I don't have to read for an hour and a half today, if that's a possibility. So I propose the motion to table this.
Second.
All right, there's a motion by Councilman.
Council President, before we go into the motion, this resolution that we got we received it on Friday in an email and signed on it on Monday. They reviewed it, so we're taking this off after we reviewed it.
I believe this is the motion on the table. You don't have to vote for it, but Councilman Brusher, well, we can comment on it after we motion it, and then I'll open it up to the council comments, okay? So, motion by Councilman Brusher and second by Council Vice President to table both 592 and 624, so they have more time to review. I will open it up to the council members to make comments now. So, Councilman, come on.
Yeah, what I said before, we all signed on that we reviewed these recommendations. I don't know why we're going backwards.
Yeah. Councilman
Okay, I'll explain why. Normally, and I guess you can check with the clerk, how long does it normally take me to sign this document? Do I sign it that day? No, I don't. They asked me if I could, so I reviewed it at our meeting on Monday. Because the hard copy is what I need, because I still have difficulty with this iPad getting on the internet. So after 3 years of this administration, and me not being able to do my work on an iPad, right, I've kind of given up. So I need the hard copy documents. When the clerk's office calls me at whatever, could be 12 o'clock, and says, I need you to come by and pick up your packet, unfortunately, right, I can't come by at Friday at 3 o'clock to pick up a document. If the agenda was out earlier, right, I could pick it up Thursday or maybe Friday morning, and there would be other options for me. So unfortunately, because my laptop doesn't work, and I would challenge any councilman up here to use my laptop out in the parking lot or by my home to see that it actually works. I know I was dismissed by certain council people at a time, thinking that because I'm older than them, that I can't navigate these type of things. And then when they seen it, they were appalled at what I had to go through. But I still challenge every council person up here to come over my home and see what I have to deal with on an electronic issue. It reminds me of being back in 1995. So, right, all I was asking was, as opposed to me reading all this aloud today, right, was to wait until the next meeting where I could sit down with the business administrator or her designee just to go through these corrected plans. I don't believe that if this does not get passed today, the Township of Edison is going to burn to the ground, right? Obviously, the administration, I just found out, had this for weeks. So if they had it for weeks, why couldn't I have gotten it a week ago? Why did I have to get it in electronic format, I guess, on Friday, and then hand it my hard copy on Monday? And I don't think that's an unreasonable request, okay? And that's just where I stand on it. But it's up to you to vote however you see fit, sir.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Yeah, I would like to make a comment. Again, I think all of us signed that document. That only means we reviewed, but we still have the questions. And what my council colleague is asking, basically, if we can table these, give us a 2 week, get those questions answered, and bring back on the council agenda, and we approve or disapprove whatever it is. But the whole narrative is we reviewed doesn't mean that there is no question or there is no ambiguity. So let's give it time. Asking 2 weeks to move this to the next agenda.
Council President, first, I'm open to Councilman Pressure reading any remarks through the report to listen to his comments. Second, I would suggest we go into closed session to hear from our CFO. Some of these summary comments are fundamental. I'm not saying what Mr. Pressure has stated is not important, but this is our first time working together, 9 years on the council, that we have questioned the corrective measures. And I just want to at least hear from the CFO in closed session for 5 minutes just to listen out to what her recommendations would be and from the BA, only to move things forward. And again, first time, even Councilman Patil and I, we're here together about 9 years, and we've never questioned the fundamental comments of this to the audit. And it's the same auditor, I believe, we've had for about 15 years. So I'm just making suggestions. I'm here to support the council if you want to table it, not a problem, but I'm asking you to go into closed session to discuss this.
If I may respond. Last 9 years, it is not that we didn't review, we did. If something is objectionable, then only we would question, otherwise there is no brainer. And I wouldn't say that there are too many red flags. Most of the items are common, but there are a couple of them that do concern. And that's why there is a request to table. And believe me, every single year, I go to the budget, I go to the audit, I go through the feedback that we receive. If there is anything alarming, I will send the right question, but this is the first time I got the audit Monday. Now they're saying, hey, can you vote on it? This is unfair to this council. If I would have received the entire document maybe a month ago, it's a different story. And that's the reason I'm saying, give me a time, 2 weeks to respond. Thank you, sir.
Council President, I also think it's not fair to the public. I think Charlie Credible brought up some very good questions, and I would like to see the public have more of a chance to review this, so I am in favor of tabling this.
Council President?
First, if I misspoke in regards to signing, I guess that's what they say, you never assume, right? So if I did assume, I apologize, Councilman Brescher. I'm okay with tabling it to give the courtesy for that follow-up. In my opinion, I don't think it's necessary, so to say, because the recommendations in the corrective action plan are laid out in the resolution, and the audit itself is from a third-party independent auditor that we would just be accepting audit. But I'm okay with giving the courtesy for that additional review. Thank you, Council President.
I'll take the roll call, please.
Rich made the motion, who seconded?
It was
Point
of motion by Councilman Brescher, second by
Motion to table, are you saying?
To the next-
Date or
The next meeting.
meeting?
October
October 23rd?
Yeah.
Okay, motion to October 23rd. Councilmember Brescher.
Yes, okay.
Councilmember Foot.
No to table.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes to table.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes to table.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. All right, 593, Councilman Brescher.
593. I just wanted to speak about this. It seems like there's concerns. And I've heard what the residents, what their concerns are. As far as their affiliation with a Democratic organization, a Republican, or whatever type of organization, I'm personally not offended by it. And I'll tell you why. The township has 100,000 residents. Active residents, we probably have 2,000. So when we have someone that's willing to do some work, I'll take them. We have, I believe, 7 people that we could possibly appoint. I also don't believe that having an engineering degree or an architectural degree or anything of that nature is as important as their personal connections with certain businesses or communities. But like if you were looking for Amboy Avenue, I have certain people that I said that were developers and stuff, right? But they're looking more so to develop the entire area as a whole, right? But a development agency like this, they could have somebody there that is looking for specific types of venues there. Like Jonathan Bush, the mayor of Metuchen, right? I've heard Jonathan approach people about opening up restaurants in Metuchen. So he's actually acting like his own redevelopment agency in a way. And we don't have anybody that does it. So whether this one individual brings that aspect to the table or a different one, we won't know until we see what they bring. So because of that, and it's our first step, I'd like to just get the board filled. And after it's filled, if it's non-productive, well, then it's time to change the board. But I think I'd like to see us give that a chance. So that would be it, Council President.
Councilman? Yes?
Council President.
Councilman?
I'm open to table this, listen to some of the residents who have complained about sections of Edison. I understand some of them came to us to make this happen, and I'm challenged that some of the council members are making this happen, now they object to it happening. At the same time, I'm hearing that certain appointments or boards people may be on may not be appropriate and could be conflicted. But at the same time, people at the council here and residents are also committee members, which is an elected office that has an influence. Who get meetings and get special privileges, in my opinion and other people's opinion. So whether we pick someone who is currently part of another committee or involved or on board, we should decide whether we do have this or not, or create a resolution that we don't have people that are on committees, hold other committee positions that could be conflicted. So I'm just challenged when I hear from residents that are already committee members who have influence and the objective appointment of someone who may be in the same seat they are in. So it's challenging, but I'm going to vote to table this for the few residents that came up that are not happy because even though it's a step forward to what they wanted, I'm here to listen to, vote no at this time and table it for a further meeting.
Councilor Cole, there's no motion on the table for this particular ordinance.
I'm just commenting on the separate, when it comes for separate vote.
Councilman Patel? Council President, in fact, it's a great idea that we started appointing the members on the redevelopment agency. However, I have a little different opinion here. It's not about the individual, but it's about the process. I think this is very, very, I would say, important agency that we are looking forward to form, especially when the members of the public are appointed. 3 or 4 things are really important. Number one is the resident of the town, how much that person knows about the town, what the connections are, what the business relations are, because we don't need contracting people to be on this agency, and also the time and energy that person is willing to put on this thing. So my request would be possibly table this resolution, form a committee, interview people, get the applications, interview people, and probably appoint the right people on the agencies. Let's not start with some caveat saying because we are starting to fill someone because we need it. Anyway, we are not going to do anything with this agency until at least more than half of the board the vacancies are filled in. So let's take a time, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people we can appoint once interviews are done, and it can be subcommittee, whoever wants to be on that subcommittee can interview the applicants, determine those names to this council, and that would be a good way to approve these members. I know even though it is consent from the consent of the council, it's coming from the mayor, but we can always encourage the residents to apply for the position, so mayor can filter through, and then this council can vet on this whether that's the right fit. Thank you, Council President.
Council President?
Council Point?
Thank you, Council President. I'm okay with moving forward with this, 2 reasons. One, we as a body have the right to appoint whatever entity oversees a redevelopment or rehabilitation project. So when we go into a redevelopment agreement, for instance, with the Indian Avenue one, on it says that the municipal council is the redevelopment entity. So we actually establish which entity it would be. Now, whether that's the town council, whether that may be the redevelopment agency itself, or maybe that might be the housing authority, which they are also under the local redevelopment law. We have that authority to dictate which entity ends up being the redevelopment entity. And when I say redevelopment entity, they are the ones responsible for making sure that the redevelopment plan and the redevelopment agreement are actually seen through and everything moves forward. So because we have that backing and able to make that determination, it's not necessarily to say that, hey, on every project, the redevelopment agency is going to be it. Additionally, much like the housing authority, they're going to need an executive director. So I'm looking for candidates that will be able to process information and make correct decisions. When I look at the resume, a lot of it is quality control and quality assurance. That's taking information of the guidelines that you presented, formulating your opinion, and making recommendations on how to move forward. So with that, I'm personally okay with moving forward, but I leave it to the council's discretion. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilor Pointer.
Council President, one last comment.
Councilor Pointer.
At different times we hear from residents that don't want realtors on the planning board, don't want engineers on the planning board, zoning board. Here today, we have an applicant who's neutral. He's an engineer, he's a chemical engineer. He doesn't have a building engineer, or he's not in the criteria of the complaints we've had before. I just want to make that as a record. We hear this many times at the council meeting. We don't want realtors, we don't want engineers. Today, you have an engineer, chemical engineer. So I think the mayor's giving you what you want, and you're still disappointed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Clark. Councilman Brusher?
Yes, after hearing my council colleague, my perception of this board right here is technically that they have no authority. They would, let's say, go out to solicit potential people to move into certain areas, but that would kind of be the extent of it, and maybe try and give them guidance, like if they wanted to go and build a 5-story on Amboy Avenue, right? These redevelopment people would say, listen, that's never going to be able to happen here. You know what I mean? Is that the purpose of this board, or is this board going to have some kind of authority where they could give approval to things? Because that does change things. And then the next question is, this here, from what I've been told, is an appointment by the mayor. If the council just all says no, aren't they still just approved?
No, because it requires the advice and consent of the council to address that last part. If the mayor sends you an appointment and you refuse to approve it, then you would deny it, and then we would go from there and figure out how to proceed.
Let me go back a step from my council colleague. If this redevelopment agency falls under the guidance of the council, then why is it the council appointing the people to this board as opposed to the mayor?
It doesn't fall under necessarily the guidance of the council. The council has certain ability to approve spending, right? Can't just spend money without any kind of council oversight, right? The redevelopment agency has certain powers and abilities under the redevelopment law, but those powers and abilities are granted by council review and approval before they can enter into agreements with. Like if they go out and they identify a business that they want to move into the town, they can't enter into an agreement with that business. That has to come before the council for review and approval, right?
Well, I don't know, because certain towns, they have a lot more authority than what I believe we were going to do.
And under your ordinance, it requires them to obtain council approval prior to obligating the township under bonds or expending funds on behalf of the township. But you can grant them that ability. So a redevelopment agency can identify properties for acquisition and then can request funding to acquire those buildings in order to engage in redevelopment projects.
If redevelopment falls underneath this body, so why wouldn't this body do the appointment? And maybe the mayor would say the same by a simple exception.
Because that's not how the law
Like
is
a
set up.
zoning board.
Maybe because that's not how the law with respect to redevelopment agencies is set up. It's set up for a mayor appointment under the Faulkner Act. And we work with the administration the same way that the administration now works to identify some of these redevelopment projects, designating areas in need of redevelopment, and attempting to make those agreements that then be brought to the council for review and approval.
Okay, so in a nutshell, then, this agency can't make any kind of deals or anything like that. They're just like guiding.
But for the most part, yes. Okay. Like I said, they are not permitted to enter into those agreements without your review, right? Without your approval. They're not permitted to obligate the township under financial matters without your approval. They have other abilities that can be granted to them under the redevelopment law, so that this council could say, we want you to, I don't want to give a specific example because I don't want to mislead you at all if I get some of the details wrong. This is what I was talking about before. I'm not an expert on the redevelopment agency protocols and all of the laws under the redevelopment law that go into it. I know Mr. can answer those questions for you if you need, and can lay everything out for you very precisely. I could have looked into it a little bit more if you'd have asked me on Monday, so that I could be a little bit better versed tonight for this aspect of it, and I apologize about that. But they don't have the ability to act independently.
Okay, you know what I mean, I'm not opposed to somebody who want to table it to get that clarification or something, but I mean, overall, the general thought of it, I told you I like the idea, because what we're doing isn't working.
So I will take the motion for you.
30 seconds, Council President.
I'm sorry.
Council Vice President.
Councilman, I just want to be clear, does the mayor appoint all of these members?
I will take a motion.
Council President, just wanted to do one 30-second last comment.
Sure.
Several residents want something to happen. Council members here took the initiative to push the mayor to provide a name and interview a few people and make this happen. So today, on record, he's provided you a person, just one of 7 members. So there are 6 more times you can come here and ask this council if this person's qualified or not. So this, as we most know, and Councilman Patil knows, Councilman Brusher knows, we've seen these committees sit and sit for a long time. So to move forward, this is an opportunity to move forward. Again, I sit as a stalemate listening to residents who want something and change their mind. But I'm just following through, and if you do vote this, I will support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. I will take a motion on resolution 593. Councilman Gresham, would you like the motion to approve or motion to table?
It's the first one,
Okay, so I have a motion to approve by Councilman Gresham. Second. All right, second by Councilman Patton. Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brusher.
yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
No.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. All right. And the last one, 623.
Yes, I just wanted to echo what you were talking about earlier. This turns out that this was a mistake. And the mistake came to light was because we appointed 3 new people. So he's been working. I've met him on the Veterans Committee. He's been one of the people there. And then when they appointed the 3 new people, he was made aware that he wasn't actually on the list that was there. So what I thought was that at some time his term expired. It might have been just removed. So the very simple thing was he reapplied, and we're here to approve him tonight. But he does quite a bit of work for the veterans, so I'm proud to vote in favor of him. Thank you.
Take a motion, Councilman Gresham, unless there's something else. What? Motion, please. Motion to approve?
Motion to approve, yes.
Motion by Councilman Brusher.
Second.
Second by Council Vice President for resolution 623. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brusher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Patel.
Yes. Moving on to number 9, oral petition and remarks. I will start from the list. Louis Tarr.
Hello, it's Tor, 52 Reader Road, Edison, New Jersey.
You have this.
I'd like to invite everybody to view the additional into the exhibits in the gallery downstairs on the first floor. October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. As such, the domestic violence team put together an exhibit downstairs which shows the horrors of domestic violence as well as numbers to call to deal with if you know anyone who is a subject of domestic violence or you yourself are. So I'd encourage everyone to go downstairs, take a look at it. There's a lot of giveaways there with phone numbers on it, and hopefully everybody will enjoy it and see what's doing it.
Thank you, Louis. So as Louis stated, if anybody does need help, we do have a team that helps domestic violence abuse survivors or not people that abuse domestically. and you do have help, so please do reach out. Anybody else that would like to speak?
Again.
Your business?
People call me up saying that even though you're not showing the people on television, you can't hear. The seniors at home say they can't hear. For some reason, you're making this mic real low. So I'm just telling you what they told you, like, I'm tired of you playing games with them, whatever. So, from the beginning, what disappoints me the most about Edison and about this, because I being a teacher, Lois Carr, and I believe Elizabeth over there, all right? When we have leadership positions, we need usually nip the bad actors in the bud. So back in January, the bad actors should have been nipped in the bud. Now the whole class has to be punished because of poor leadership skills. It saddens me. It really saddens me, because first we did what we do. First we said, oh, we're not going to show you, so we're going to hide all the meetings from you. Next, we're going to change the format of the meetings. Here we go, we're going to change the format. Then, if that doesn't work, we're going to cut everybody's minute. Then, if that doesn't work, we're going to hide all the people that speak. It's a sad state of affairs. And to myself, I'm like, gee, Crystal gets to run the town. Okay, it just saddens me, okay? He would never run my classroom. Never, never in a million years would he ever run my classroom. At all. That's just to be whatever. And then they asked me, somebody else told me to ask about, I don't know, they said something about a further investigation of the police department and the security. They said, how is that going with the security department for the trip to Chicago? I don't know much about it, but they told me, they asked, how is that going? Is the whistleblower in trouble, or are they gonna lose their job because, they spoke out against the trip to Chicago? So I don't know if they're gonna lose their job or what direction that they're going in. And as far as, domestic violence, it's very, very crucial, domestic violence. Domestic violence is like the worst thing that can happen. I have people in my family that were murdered during domestic violence. I myself, we participate, and we have different things going on. We have paint sips and all that, I don't know that people actually understand the extent of domestic violence. I don't think they understand it. I don't think they realize that domestic violence is also verbal violence, all right? And then I was watching Councilman Pointer explain a point or whatever he was doing. And I'm like, I see the other council member, and they just ignoring him completely of what he's saying, and then say something else, always jumping, playing these games of defense and stuff, To me, it's a very sad state of affair, and this year, 2024, this is what we get for 2024. This is what we get. No answers to any questions, but always a cut down of something, Still, where's the master plan? Where's the master plan? That's why I told somebody, don't worry about the redevelopment agency. That'll put everybody on there. I'm still waiting on the master plan. So maybe we'll be waiting on another 3 to 4 or 5 years waiting on the redevelopment. This is sad. This is sad. And let me tell you something. You get paid like almost $20,000, not $20,000, but almost, to act smug and to act like it's condescending, like, do I have to answer those people back and forth? Okay. Because you cannot, and you're inept in answering questions, because you cannot do your job, we all have to suffer. So now we got to participate in a circus, all because nobody nipped it in the bud. Is that fair? Oh, that's not fair. Been in this town forever. And let me tell you, I went to council meetings back and forth. Okay? Sometimes 12 o'clock, sometimes 2 o'clock. And the council members only got maybe $600 a month. Maybe $6,000, I guess, for the whole year. But guess what? They were polite. They answered questions to the best of their ability. And they were respectful people that sat in those seats. It's very, very shame because you know how each person, you know how they're going to answer. And you know what I think it's kind of ridiculous too? You got a council member filming the audience. He's filming the audience, okay? Tell me that's not childish and ridiculous, okay? Oh, I don't want to film them, but you can film them. You know what I mean? Sometimes I think people should be ashamed of themselves. They really should. This is like a talk I give to my pre-college students. I talk to them and tell them, something you should be ashamed of yourself that you do. You know, and I've seen the film of the people on Clara Barton, and I've seen the guy saying there's no foot traffic down here. Well, guess what? And there's parking spaces. But I still say them bump outs, it's the worst. I've seen people work with snow plows and stuff. Those bump outs are the worst. You know, trying to squeeze in and trying to maneuver. Everybody doesn't understand. Once certain roads get blocked, because they don't live there near us. When certain roads get blocked, it'll take you on Amboy Avenue. You like stuck there for 20, 30 minutes. There's no throughway with that. It's horrible. I'm good. I'm going to sit down so you don't call the cops. Thank you.
Council President, just to address the question on the master plan, it was adopted July. The resolution at the planning board memorialized it, so next action steps would be on the council's director. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Point.
Council President,
Councilman Busher?
yeah, just for our attorney to take note, from a councilwoman, she was talking about the whistleblowers being targeted. I heard the same thing. I heard that they were looking to get phone records, and I don't know if they were for police officers, elected officials, or residents. I also heard the judge deny them, but the concern would be if somebody actually did go to that. So I'm going to ask the attorney to find that out, to see if there was an official request that was made, and let me know.
Anyone?
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle.
You recognize.
Okay. Number one, with questions about the auditor, I know this is something that has to be done, but wouldn't it be more efficient if you met with the auditor, he went over it, because most of the stuff is very limited and just easily fixed, and if you have any questions, it can be done right then and there with someone in administration, so this way it can be shared. I know on the Board of Education, an auditor comes and actually explains all the different things that were found and how they were being fixed. So I think that might be an easier way to go, my opinion. Number two, I'm not against the gentleman that was appointed to the redevelopment agency. I'm morally questioning the process. Now, I looked because I was told that the lists of committees are online. So I did look, and it does have redevelopment agency with nothing. It has 5 vacancies and expired terms of 2014. When I look back to the Human Relations Commission, I'm on that. But I was expired in December of 2023. And I was told, oh no, they'll just update it. Well, I guess we need to look into that. But it's the process. Do people know if by going on this, that it's an empty committee, that they should apply? Was it posted that we're looking for people? How many people applied? How many interviews were given? So this way you can move forward and say, everybody that I spoke to, the mayor is doing the evaluations, that it's being done fair. I don't really care if it's EDO or MDO or RDO, whatever you want to call them. As long as the person is stepping up and is interested and has gone through the proper process. That's what I'm questioning. Is the process being followed? And obviously, it's 9 years since anybody was on it, so I guess you have to redevelop the process in order for it to be fair. Number 3, Inman Avenue and Old Raritan Road. When I came on Monday night, and you were in executive session, President Patel, you had it on your list regarding a stop sign on Inman Avenue. Well, I believe there is a stop sign. But even though the stop sign is there, at that point we couldn't see, even though there was a stop sign. So if you're thinking about stop signs, maybe if you could have an all-way stop. I don't know if that's as difficult as a light, but if everybody has to come to a stop, it might prove a little safer. And last but not least, 6 minutes to 4 minutes. I think the meeting's gone pretty well, even though we have very funny visitors tonight, but it's been calm. I've taken some pictures. I think it's hysterical. I'm sure my husband. But I appreciate that they're trying to prove a point. But 6 minutes to 4 minutes is still an insult to me and to somebody like Joyce and somebody like Lois. We were teachers. Teachers talk. And we're not just asking Marlena every 2 seconds, Marlena, how much time do I have left? No, I'm saying what I have to say, and then when my time is up, I will go sit down, and hopefully you'll answer me. But this really needs to not only be tabled, but put onto the table and stomped on. Thank you.
Thank you. With the auditor, Sonia, can you quickly go through the process? But as for us, I can show you, this is what the audit looks like, so it's kind of difficult to go through all of it, but the corrective action is much easier to swallow, if that's the, yeah. This is the audit, yes. So it's a very detailed audit, but if you can go through the process as to how this goes about.
So our auditors, they get here about probably late spring, and they go through each department, and there's a set of requirements, mostly accounts that get reconciled, processes that we need to follow, whether it's the procurement law, whether it's state statute laws that we have to follow. So there's just an array of documents. But if I could make a suggestion, just like the budget, and my office hours or out of office hours, and anybody would like to make an appointment, I'd like to sit down with you, as well as our CFO and finance director.
Let me just finish the answers, then we can get back to you. Is that okay?
Okay, the same.
Yeah. And then I lost my train of thought. Yes, so the committees. I agree with you. I think the committees do need to be looked at, and the process needs to be looked at. I think that whole process needs to be handled better. And I am going to take a look at it, and I'm hoping the council members will agree and will come up with a new process that will actually incentivize committees to be active and more engaged and dynamic in terms of what we need as a town. And then the Inman Ave and the Old Raritan Road, again, it's with the county. They are in discussion with the township to figure out whether or not we can have always stop sign. I don't know how far it is. I just wanted to get an update from the administration as to where that ended up being. But that is what the last item of that particular situation. Councilman Richard.
Yes, I just wanted to explain this comment. This audit is the same audit that you've looked at when you were on the Board of Education and when I was there. In fact, we originally had the same auditor in both entities up until just maybe a couple of years ago. I think it was a personal issue. But, when you get it, it's kind of laid out and it does show you quite a bit. But on the Board of Ed, we would get it, you know what I mean? And then I've met with Hodgelick and Morris, I went to their office, right? We went through some of the items that maybe I had questions on. But with this was just a thing that just happened. You know, it's not like I could call and go meet him or talk to Sonia. I mean, just, you know, you give it to me on Monday, Tuesday, I'm readily available, okay? So that's where that is. And your point on the committees, 100% agree. These are appointments by the mayor, okay? And our mayor, when he was a councilman, you know, he used to say, I want this and I want that. But he's just ineffective. We have an insurance committee, right? Look at the insurance committee online. They're supposed to review, like with our brokerage and that, to make sure that we're getting, you know, really decent deals and things of that nature. That committee, I don't think has ever met. Now with this mayor, not with the past, right? And like this administration, well, what's the past administration didn't do it either. Just because they did it wrong doesn't mean you can do it wrong, and it makes it better. But he doesn't seem to get that. So these are his appointments for his vision, right? And this on our agenda was his vision. So it's kind of where it is. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilor Gresham. Anybody else?
You did one more thing. One more thing. It was one more thing.
Sue Malone, Marbury, Event Pleasant Avenue. Thank you. Just a couple of comments. We're not against a redevelopment agency. In fact, we believe that a redevelopment agency could be a really good thing. Like the other resident said, my questions were directed at, was this person properly vetted? Is this person a political appointee? Which the EDO is like, But that doesn't mean they won't do a good job. It's just, I think I would have avoided that. But mostly I'm appealing to the council that these are really important appointees. And you have to really make sure they're vetted. We know Edison is development happy. And if we have a redevelopment agency that is gung-ho and not following redevelopment plans and really taking into consideration what's right for each area, we'll have problems. It can be damaging or it can be really great. So that was the point, not changing the mind, appreciate the mayor's getting the ball rolling. We've been talking about it for a while. It's the process. Okay. A question, why was the decision made not to put the speakers on camera? Did you get that?
Any other questions, Sue?
And then, yeah, I do have a couple other things, or one other thing. It's just a follow-up, really. It's been quite a long time, and can someone tell me what happened to the warehouse definition ordinance that was brought forward? And where is that? And also there have been many requests for an ordinance that protects residential areas from warehouses. Where is that? The council has proven recently that it can move pretty quickly, but these things seem to be stalled, and quality of life for residents is a thing. So those are my questions.
Okay, so the warehouse definition is the other type that the residential places protected from warehouses. Again, it's a discussion that have happened, and we are still working to find consensus to gather a right balance and also to make it effective. Because if we put it on the books and it's not effective, it doesn't really work.
Great.
So that is something that we are working towards. Unfortunately, don't have a timeline as to when that will happen. Now, in terms of the decision for the camera angle, I will let the administration answer that. That is not a decision that council made. We are not part of the executive branch.
Hi, with regard to the camera, we're just trying different angles.
Council President?
Are you done, so do you have any other questions?
I don't understand that answer.
That's funny. Okay, if you don't mind, I can pass it on to the council vice president.
Yes, I actually spoke to Bob Deal today, and because I've been getting a lot of people who are complaining about that, and I don't blame them. I don't understand why all the focus is going to be on the council members and not give respect to the people who are speaking. And so I'm going to be discussing this at the next meeting in my council comments, but I would like to see the camera angle restored to the way it was before. This makes no sense to me.
Okay.
To answer.
You're next.
All right, so one of the things that Councilman Coyle has been asking for since 2016 is the economic developer. I'm hopeful that we can spend, it was like 120,000, 150,000, I don't know what you said it was, but I'm not sure why we can't get that. It sounds like that has some promise. We really should work on that. We spend a lot of money on overruns and lots of things. Why can't we get this one person out there in Cloud or all across Edison? That would be wonderful to have. So it's a good idea. I think we should really push through on that. Unless there's something that you guys can say that I don't see. One of the reasons I like coming here and why I wanted to have like one question and go back and forth is because I don't always understand every single thing that's there. So if we go back and forth, I can probably understand that a little bit better. I think other people as well. Or if you say something that triggers something in my head, I'm like, let me go ahead and discuss that now versus offline. It just doesn't make sense to have a disjointed conversation. The other thing that I have is, I don't speak for you, you don't speak for me. There are narratives that are being brought against selected groups in Edison or about people. I never said that I was against the redevelopment agency, as the other people have said back here, against the process. I'm about transparency, qualifications, to make sure that people are vetted properly. And so one of the things that I wish we had on the council was that we could rebut the council, because sometimes you might misunderstand us, and we don't have any recourse to say anything. The meeting ends, and then we can do offline or whatever, or I can come to the next meeting, and then something could be said wrong again, and then we just keep chasing this whole process over and over again, and it's kind of very frustrating. So I would like to have the redevelopment agency. I just think that we should be getting the best candidates. We should not just pick the first one that's given to us to do. You're allowed to go in and say no to the first one. I think, again, as I said, Tom O'Shea, the one that actually brought this to the attention of the mayor, and I thank the mayor for running with this, by the way, and listening to the residents. I think that that would have been the optimal choice right there, somebody who has experience. I do not have a problem with the person that is there, but I do have a problem with not disclosing every single thing on the resume, which again is what the vetting is. I just personally have an issue, and I wouldn't personally run, or I wouldn't ask for that position, because in my opinion, it's my opinion only, that somebody who has that kind of power as on council, or somebody who's a committee person, they have influence. And I just want a normal, everyday person, or somebody that has experience, or like Councilman Pointer said, somebody that can take the information, disseminate it, and make a responsible decision. So, I mean, this person looks like they have the qualifications, but again, I do question why on the resume, nobody, or Council President, you weren't able to tell me that if you belong to the EDO, but Councilwoman Harris was, so I was confused about how that was possible there. I like the idea of having a person coming and asking one question and then having you respond, but again, it is at your discretion. So again, Tom also was the reason why the Real Development Agency was out of dormancy. And again, I do think that he does not have any conflict of interest, and I think that he would be the best pick. And that is basically all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. For the economic developer, that is something that I have been asking in my discussion items, and it is something that Sonia has assured us that they are looking for a right candidate, and they haven't found. I will ask Sonia to update us at the end. I believe that's still the case. And in terms of, I agree, redevelopment agency is something that we should all support. And then Tom O'Shea, I believe he sounds like a great candidate, but unfortunately it is not for the council to appoint. It is for the mayor to appoint. Once he appoints it, then we can review his resume and then we can decide whether or not we want it, whether we are interested.
I still have time, right?
Yes.
So if somebody like Tom O'Shea, like you said that this was advertised somewhere, can we make it much easier to find? And I can tell.
It's just an application, but I believe they might, I'm not sure what the process of advertising, but I can ask the administration to make it more,
Easier to
make more
find.
permissive or pervasive.
Yeah, because I'm sure he would have applied and he just wasn't aware. And really him being at that mayoral meeting with lots of people, I really feel like he should have reached out to and been the first one, really.
Anthony Diemmer, Wiley Ave. I was back there looking on my phone. I was looking up at the Edison Reporter, which I recommend to everybody. It's a tremendous local news outlet now, just like New Brunswick Today. Does a great job, Charlie. So I was looking at these articles, and I came across an article from about a month ago regarding the mayor, and allegations regarding sexual misconduct. Back when he was a council member. I can tell you this, I was approached at my home one day 2 years ago by the victim at the time, who I didn't know, and she began to tell her story, and I'm not judge and jury, but I'll tell you this, there's some things in that story that just make you just say, how is there not an investigation into what the hell happened here? She needed surgery for crying out loud. I am not about to, the mayor was a friend of mine, was a good friend of mine at the time, and he deserves his side of the story as well. And we haven't heard a single comment from the mayor. And I don't believe anybody outside of maybe one council member, none of the council either. I mean, these are some serious stuff here, and the fact that hey, they looked into it in the county and stuff, and nothing came of it. That's nobody believes that. I mean, that doesn't mean anything, but something did happen. Believe me, I mean, it did. I don't know. I'm not judge or jury, but I mean, we deserve to hear his side of the story, and he deserves his side. But there's some stuff that was said. I mean, it's just amazing, and it's. I think we need to take that a little more seriously. Regarding the public comment stuff, I was myself at the time one of the leading voices behind getting these meetings live streamed. First was the Board of Ed did it, and then the council finally did it, supported by Councilman Joshi at the time. And the councilman actually at the time, the mayor, well, he's councilman at the time, supported even having people in real time ask questions via the YouTube Live. I don't know if that's legal to do or how that works, but he was supportive of it. I was as well. And you go 5 years later, we are going backwards. We're not progressing. We're actually going backwards now and taking time away and no back and forth. And it's just, I don't even know why you even have public comments. Everybody should just then write their questions in and you guys can read them off. Quite frankly, that's what we're getting to. So I'm a little, I like to see to go the other way. Also, warehouse. Two warehouses supposedly going or being proposed next to the dog park, Metuchen Edison Dog Park, which is the old, what's that, Green Acres, I think, land property behind Women Avenue. I mean, that is ground zero for overdevelopment. I've been saying that forever. And now they want to put a warehouse or two warehouses back over there. It's just, that's my old neighborhood back there. It's just incredible how the traffic there is just going to be a disaster. So I really hope they, or as the planning board or whomever's looking into that, really, really gives that a good look and hopefully denies it, possibly, who knows. James Monroe traffic, I did ask, about doing a traffic, I know the chief was looking into, I did see that the police out there doing some type of maybe study or something. It's really bad getting worse. And I just fear that if there was an emergency, God forbid, in the morning during, and it's only like 10 minutes of time that we're talking about here. I don't know how a fire truck or an emergency vehicles can get down Halo. It's real bad. So I mean, these vehicles, in my opinion, should be going in one way, out the same way, or out the other way, in a flow of traffic. It's really scary. So there's really 10 minutes of time between 8:45 and 9. You're looking at 15 minutes that, you're worried about, God forbid, if there was an emergency. So hopefully something can be done about that traffic. At least for those times, make them like a one-way for a certain kind of, time out of the morning. If there's time, I never asked about my time. How much? 1 minute? 1 minute, thank you. I need that stuff for Esther, by the way. Esther's still going, still on, hanging on strong. Still watching these meetings. I just want to drop off the agenda to her. Anyways, there should put up like a clock right there that shows us our time. I mean, so we don't have to ask. Maybe that'd be a little more feasible. Just a suggestion. I don't know. And that's the council president. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. I believe we are working on the time clock. We should have that up and running soon. Anything else that would like to speak?
Anonymous, am I recognized?
You're recognized.
Okay, I came here to speak about other topics, but because people want to mention my name and lie with my name involved, I'm going to set the record straight. The last time the mayor tried to reveal the time, okay, the BA lied, ex-councilwoman lied up there and said members of the public made racist and sexist remarks that we never made. You guys enabled this mayor. So when they're saying to me that we're going to nip something in the butt, what are we going to nip in the butt? What do they want me to do, get shot in the head? For what, coming to the meetings and doing my constitutionally protected activity, which is speaking during my time? If you got a problem with the mayor and what he's doing, go speak to the mayor. I don't care if you guys are a bunch of cowards, all right? Take it up with the mayor. It's administration's problem. They don't want to show the public, and they even lie about it. But, to bring up my name, to mention something that happened in January, you guys deserve to get cursed off. You guys tried to frame me for an arson that never happened. You guys gave me 3 felony charges. You guys slandered me in a newspaper that I was criminally restraining child predators and threatening to cut off their pee-pees. So when I had for 2 years, I wasn't able to use my social media, generate an income that I used to give to my mom. You understand? I didn't get a YouTube paycheck until one day after my mom passed away. And I was found innocent of those charges. So this town keeps fucking with me, alright? They keep blaming me for shit that I have no control over. You got a problem with the mayor? Take it up with the mayor. Do you have enough integrity to say that no one made no racist or sexist remarks? No, you don't. You won't say that today. And because of your zero integrity actions, the mayor used that to attack other residents, where Suzanne also put it in the media that somebody made racist and sexist remarks. It was insinuated on Mayor Sam Joshi's Facebook page that it was me, and a whole bunch of people were threatening me over it. It's not my problem. Go fuck yourselves. Go fuck yourselves.
Sir,
Excuse
we've
me?
been over this.
I'm politely saying,
Sir, if you continue the use of vulgarity, the council president is within his rights to revoke your time,
And
please.
I will file a tort claim.
Point of privilege?
Point of privilege.
He has a constitutional right under Roosevelt versus New Jersey to be able to curse. So
Sir, you have not been recognized by the council
So,
president. I would suggest that you sit
I
down.
can take you, I'm
So,
sorry.
point of privilege, please. Point of privilege.
You will recognize. Pause this time.
So any speaker here is allowed to curse. That's Roosevelt versus New Jersey, 1972. So you threatening him with being able to curse or not, excuse me, I'm not done yet, is a violation of his rights, is a deprivation of his civil rights, which is a criminal charge.
Thank you. You can start this time.
What's the answer to the point of privilege?
We will continue this conversation. Thank you. You can sit
You
down.
have to answer to it, though. It's a point.
The point of the forum here is that we want to not create violent, insightful language. And what he was stating was violent, insightful language.
No, it wasn't.
To me, it was.
Want and get.
And it is my duty to keep the forum. And your point of inquiry was answered. Please sit down. Any more disruption will be asked you to leave.
Well,
Thank you.
you're not following Robert's rules.
You can continue this time.
Okay, I still gotta go to trial, I still gotta face all those fake charges, thousands of dollars I lost, but the mayor terrorizes this community, and instead of the community standing back towards the mayor, we gotta nip it in the bud, we gotta fuck with Krista, we gotta bother Krista. I don't appreciate that, that's complete bullshit, and how much time do I have left on my night? I can't even stand here right now, my migraine's so severe, I don't even know how I'm even able to stand up, but thankfully I came. The mayor's a piece of shit, he's attacking the residents, and like we see,
Sir,
former
your language.
council people and other residents are blaming me for it. Deputy Chief Dudash, you're not a victim, you were never a victim. I cursed you off, what of it? You put bullshit in the media. You lied in the media, and I came here and I set the record straight. To the chair to do that, I came here and I set the record straight. So what problem is that? This is the appropriate time, place, and manner to set the record straight. So what's the problem? Would you like members of the public to show up to your homes and get the answers there? Or can they come to this meeting at the appropriate time, place, and manner? How much time do I have left, Marlene? Almost a minute.
Pause this time.
So
If you don't
my
have
time
a
is
mask,
paused.
you'll be removed.
I don't recognize my time being paused. I continue to have.
Sir, if you're gonna keep your mask on, I will be asking you to be removed from this chamber.
Point of privilege.
Officer,
Point of
can you
privilege.
please remove him?
I call the point of privilege. I'm calling the point of privilege. I call the point of privilege. Okay, can I get my stuff from over there? So I'm being told to leave under threat of arrest, correct? Oh, what's up, Sam? What's up, man? Yes. And here they go, they're using the police to come after us, but they're not the enemy, you're the enemy. Shame on you, Councilman Patel. Shame on you. And you know what? Fuck this town and fuck the government. You got a problem with what I said? Fuck you guys, man. I lost thousands. Fuck all of you.
Okay. Anybody else that would like to speak? Name and address.
Edward Lefty Grimes. I'm with SativaCross.org. We're a 501c3 here in New Jersey fighting for disability rights and for cannabis patients' rights.
You're recognized.
You're not going to ask me to take my mask off?
Oh, sorry. Please take off your mask.
I had to remind you to do your job.
Yeah, I've been a little...
There's a prize underneath for every time. There's a prize. Don't you want the prize? Today's Josh. Can you see it? What does it say, Pat?
Josh is a milky liquor.
Sir, there's only one person at the...
I don't know what a milky liquor is, but it's in the Jerky Boys movie. If you ever watched the Jerky Boys movie, they talked about milky liquors. It could be funny. It doesn't seem to manifest certain social redeeming characteristics, but either does Joshi. So, however, I'm here to hypnotize you, and I'm here to maybe exercise some of you. And I'm gonna ruin a song for you. I'm gonna make sure that the rest of your life, you're gonna have an earworm in your brain for what I'm about to do. You're never gonna forget disability rights or human rights. Disability rights or human rights, and I'm gonna make sure you never forget this. You ready? Okay. Disability rights are human rights. 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 Disability rights are human
Council President, please pause this time for point of order. Sir, please stop.
I'm in the middle of the disability national anthem.
Sir,
You don't interrupt the national anthem. I'm making you first.
There's been a request by the Council President, point of order has been called by a member of the council, Councilman Pointer.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry,
There are rules and procedures that says that we can call a point of order in terms of items that are repetitious in nature. You stated the same sentence multiple times for over a minute. So to me, that is a
Sound like you.
statement.
Yes, so the point of order has sustained. Sir, you have no longer right to speak. You can still participate by listening to the conversations.
I'm not done. How much time do I have left?
Sir, your time is forfeit.
My time is forfeited? For what? For saying disability rights and human rights? Really? For saying disability rights and human rights? You're going to forfeit my time for saying disability rights and human rights?
Please remove him.
Are you kidding me? Disability rights and human rights. How are you going to? Are you a disabled vet? None of you people are disabled vets. How dare you? He's a disabled vet. You wouldn't have this council if it wasn't for disabled vets fighting for your right to be ignorant and ableist. How dare you? How dare you silence disability rights? How dare you? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Telling me I can't talk about disability rights. You wouldn't have that cushy seat that stinks without disability, without the disabled vets fighting for your rights. How dare you? Who do you think you are? You want to play political theater? We're the best at it. We're better than you. You move the chair, you move this back, you think you're smart, you change the camera angles, you think you're smart, you wore your mask today, thinking I'm going to ask you to take it off, you think you're smart? No, we're going to be smart. Wait till you see what happens to you when you get sued for taking away Zoom access for the disabled vets. Wait till you see what happens to you. Because other towns are being sued for it. I can't wait to see your attorney get sued for disability rights not being human rights in your town. Shame on you. Shame on all of you. 68% of Jesus' miracles were for the disabled. Where's your energy at? Where's your energy at? And yes, my sign says, Joshi is a milky liquor. And the rest of you are too. Disgusting. Disgusting. We should come back here every week. Shame on you. Shame on you. And yeah, she's right. It should be nipped in the bud because now you started a huge tree that you're not going to be able to control. You should have nipped it in the bud. But you're too ignorant. Now you've got political theater up their butt. And then they can end. And it's not going to be pretty.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak?
Council President.
Councilor Rush?
Yes, just for the record, on the Zoom meeting, right? I just want to be on the record to our attorney and to the business administrator so she can let the mayor know. I know that we've had many lawsuits here, which will come up as he tries to run for office again. But if we end up getting sued because we couldn't make a reasonable accommodation for people that have disabilities with Zoom, I just wanted on the record that the attorney and the business administrator was notified. So I'd ask you to please send an email to the mayor to request that we have this done. We did it during COVID. It is a reasonable accommodation. Anything more than that is just, in the face saying, because I don't want to hear from certain people, I don't want to do it. That's not an adult thing to do. I'm looking for the mayor to do the adult thing here. So please inform him. That would be a council president.
Thank you,
Council President.
Councilor Patrick?
Monday work session meeting, actually, Zoom link, Zoom access was my discussion item, and I did ask administration to seriously look at it. I mean, fully support of, for the transparency and for the democracy, let's open the Zoom link. And I spoke about that. I was told that you are looking into it, but hopefully by next council meeting we'll have some answer. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Councilor Patrick. Anybody else that would like to speak?
Yeah, you called me.
Yes. Name and address?
My name is Bong Holio. You can find me on any bomb, any coffee table across the state or the country. I'm a Bong. You spell that Bongholeo. That's the correct spelling of Bong Holio. Some people get that wrong. So I'm here with my baby. This is Bong Holito. And I think it's unfair that I'm not being valued properly as a resident or a member of the public. I would like the audience to see me at home. So I'm going to take a couple steps up here and I'm going to turn around so that the people at home can see me.
Sir, remain where you are. Officers,
You can't just make a rule like that on the spot. It's my time to talk. I chose to do what I was able to do last time.
sir, you are, please remove them. Please get them. One second.
I'm getting kicked out.
Turtle up. Sir, officer, sorry, officer, I misspoke. He returned to the podium. If you step away from the podium again, you will be removed.
Yeah, because the way you guys do policy is a warning at first. So you just tried to remove me illegally, not even based off of your own policy. It's my time, please let me talk, Mr. Attorney. Mr. Attorney, please, it's my time to speak. Okay? What I just witnessed was unbelievable. You just tried to kick a disabled man out for saying disability rights are human rights. You guys realize you just did that, right? You just tried to remove a person in a wheelchair, a disabled person, and you brought up the fact that you guys are going to get sued. You guys aren't getting it. I spoke here in April, unbombed, okay? Came here, told all of you to be very careful about members of the public. I warned each of you that I am you, you are me, and we are all the same. We have American values. When decorum issues converge with the First Amendment, it never wins. I was here to speak about the profanity issue. Before there was ever mask violations and all this garbage, I spoke to you very seriously as an intellect. I warned you guys about what road you were possibly going to be going down. This is before all this mask nonsense. You keep coming up with this time, place, and manner thing. That is not how it works when it converges with the First Amendment. You guys should stop paying your borough attorney. He's not doing a good job. He's a failure for an attorney. I mean, this is beyond unreasonable. I have spoken as Bong Holio probably for over 40 different council meetings in New Jersey, believe it or not. I've stood in this Bong in council meetings more than pilots have flight hours. Do you understand that? This is serious business. This is not a joke. I'm not even supposed to be here. I should be holding my baby, for Christ's sakes. My wife, Pig Holio, is going to be pissed off that I'm not home with the baby. You understand this, right? Or do you? Or you just don't care? I'm getting a lot of shit for this, for being out here at this meeting. But, do I have police standing around me? I just felt like I had police standing around me. It's so weird what you guys have done. This meeting's gone pretty smoothly. But you guys, I told you last time, like I said back in April, you're stepping left when you should step right. You're stepping back when you should step forward. You guys just don't get it. I could be dumber than you, but apparently I can't. You guys are just unbelievable. It is absolutely absurd. Every single time that I've come to a council meeting, I've performed a song as Bong Holio. and to keep the tradition alive. And the only reason I came out of retirement tonight is because that means you guys have failed miserably. Big failures, not little failures, huge, gigantic failures. So to keep the tradition alive, I'm gonna do a song. Do you mind holding my baby? Thank you. I'm real. You want a political theater circus? You're gonna get one. Better all start acting like adults. You know what time it is?
It's just repetitive silence. No, it's repetitive silence.
I'm gonna do some song. That's not working. That's it. What, how much time do I have on him? About a minute. 5 minutes?
A minute.
A minute.
Speaker, 1 minute. Put that roll back on.
Oh, my baby. Big on the clock, yeah, it's 8:30. I've been sucked on a lot, so I'm a little dirty. Is everybody smoking in the building? It's been a minute, tell me how you feeling. Cause I'm about to get into my feelings. How you feeling? How you feel right now? Ooh, I've been sucked on by so many people. Oh, the women, they're always my favorite. Oh, I'm not the one I want.
Alright, sir, your time is up. Thank you.
Bitch, I might be bad. Turn up the music.
Officer.
My time's up?
Yes.
Give me a light. Pack up my headpiece. Let's all get stoned tonight. Okay.
Sir,
All
please,
right.
your hand is
I'm a
up.
big damn ball.
Officers, may you please remove him.
What's a tough one to follow?
Name and address, please.
My name's Patrick Duff. I'm a Haddon Heights resident, and I'm a First Amendment activist. The city attorney probably knows my name. I've sued many cities, and I've won every single one of them, mostly Oprah lawsuits. And Tabernacle, I don't know if you heard about what happened in Tabernacle with the town hall, but the mayor, the deputy mayor, the administrator, and the engineer, who by the way was a chemical engineer, who said the building was going to fall down, they've all been removed from office for my work. So you don't want me at your council meetings. Trust me, you don't want me here. The reason why I'm here is because I don't just file tort claim notices, I sue the hell out of you. So you can kiss my ass. If you remove me with the police, you can be sure you'll be making the next movie. I'm a film producer, I just did Who Killed Les Crane, WhoKilledLesCrane.com. And let me ask you, Administrator, do you have the authority to put the camera on me, please? Can you, Mr. Patel, can you please remove the costume mask? Because that mask you have is the biggest costume mask we've ever seen in the world. That does nothing. Can you please remove your mask? Officers, can you remove Mr. Patel? Can you please remove Mr. Patel? He's wearing a costume mask, and he just had Christo removed from the building for doing the same thing. Sir, what are you wearing that for? Why are you wearing that? You look like an idiot. You do, you look like an idiot with it on. And you all look like idiots for taking transparency away, not showing the public. Now it's going to be everywhere. I mean, this is going to be thousands and thousands of views online because we're making a spectacle of it because you have removed somebody who has a First Amendment right. First of all, what does the mask do to you? How does that hurt you? Can anybody answer that? No answers? Okay, Mr. Patel, does it bother you? Does it bother you? And here you are wearing a silly costume mask. Do you believe that that mask can help you? do anything except for cover up, just like you're doing to the public here by not showing the public? This sucks. Can I borrow your mask? Because if you remove me, I'm saying, you know, first, I gotta bring somebody out. Oh, yes. Well, let me be clear. This is Governor Phil Murphy. I am here to give a message to the Edison Council. You fucking suck. You suck. And if you remove Patrick Duff, he will sue the mighty balls off this city till you can't have any redevelopment agencies anymore. And I'm gonna Oprah your phone records to get the camera view from that side, because council people who use their devices during meetings can be Oprah. Will you just forward the thing over to my residence? Tammy will accept it. Thank you very much. As your great governor, the First Amendment is very fucking important. And if you remove somebody for using their First Amendment, they can sue the big balls off of you. And that's just what's gonna happen. No, I'm not being removed. I'm a person. I'm not being removed. Can you remove your mask, please?
Sir, can you pause the time? Just take this as a warning. If you keep the mask on, you will be removed.
If you keep your mask, how will we do it together?
Sir,
Can we remove the mask together?
Officer, can you please remove him?
If you remove me, you're gonna get sued big time. Don't touch me. Nobody touch me. Nobody touch me. You suck. You fucking all suck. Not all of you. You're pretty cool. I like you. He's alright. Now don't touch me. And I'm not leaving the building. Here, am I okay to stay?
You can if you want to continue without your mask.
Well, can you take your silly mask off? Dude, that is more a costume mask than this. Let's be honest here. I mean, are you Anthony Fauci? You know they call him Phony Fauci, because he's a phony. Just listen, I am going to be so happy to help Christo sue you now. You know, he's filed all these tort claim notices. I said, well, why don't you file an actual lawsuit? So I'm going to write it for him, I'm going to give it to him for free, and he's going to file it against you. And I want to do it too, so just have him remove me, please.
Please remove.
Please remove it.
Thank you.
Is this under threat of arrest? Am I being removed under threat of arrest?
You are being asked to remove by the officers.
No.
You're being removed
not
for
said.
violating the council rules, that's all.
Excuse me?
For violating.
You're being removed for violating the
What
council
rule?
rules.
Please, point of privilege? Point of privilege, what rule?
Sir, it's been explained to you.
This is my first time here. What's the rule?
Just officers, please remove him.
For what?
1 minute left.
Officers.
Yeah, I got 1 minute left.
Speaker.
Come on, don't touch me. I don't have a mask on. He's got a mask on. He's got a mask on. You can't just take one out. Let me ask you a question.
Officers, please remove him.
Listen, you gotta go, man. I want you out.
Is this under threat of arrest? What I'm asking.
It's for violating the chamber rules.
What rule? Nobody's stating a
For
rule.
keeping the mask on when
But what rule is that? Can you state the rule?
The decorum.
The decorum?
Yes.
But what does the rule state? That's very important. That's what law is. It's words. So what do the words say that allow you to remove me?
Sir.
23 seconds left.
23 seconds. Come on, don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm the last one you want to touch. Because I sue everybody. I'm very, very good at it. Don't even need a lawyer for it.
Thank you.
Am I recognized?
Now with the mask on.
So am I being thrown out if I don't take it off?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I already sent you guys short claims for other issues for Zoom access. I received 2 emails back, not from you. So you guys removed Zoom access. So
you know, people that are home, like a disabled veteran like me, that want to watch your stuff and maybe even participate, I can't. So ADA access, you have none. You used to have it, but then you took it away. So I already sent you guys a tort claim. I'll be suing too, because I already sent a tort claim for that. Now that you just told me I have to take this off, I'm going to be removed. That's another tort claim. It's not in a decorum. You guys also violated Roosevelt versus New Jersey. You have absolute right to curse. That's also 1972, and the Supreme Court of the United States relied on Cohen versus California. And in Roosevelt, he called the BOE motherfuckers. You're allowed to, whether you like it or not. First Amendment protects the speech that you don't like, not what everybody likes. So you're in violation of that, so you'll be sued for that. That's a deprivation of civil rights. That's a criminal charge. You're witnessing the criminal charge, deprivation of civil rights, and you're sitting there. I mean, you're inept. So we'll be filing an OPIA violation with the state police and the Attorney General's office. You have nothing in the mask, so you're wearing a mask right now. You're not a doctor, right? Are you going into surgery? So it's rules for us and not for thee. You do what you want and remove people. We sit here for 2 weeks to be able to speak for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever the case is. You should be letting us speak for that entire time. Mask, no mask, cursing, it really doesn't matter. The only thing that you can't say are fighting words, and there were no fighting words admitted by anybody. So I sent you guys a tort claim for Facebook. For the mayor, he's not letting people comment on the page. That's already been ruled on in federal courts, as well as Bronco versus Carteret, where it's a public page. You can't do that. If you've gone to League of Municipality meetings, and they talked about this at the last 2 League of Municipality meetings. So you guys are in complete violation. Sent the tort claim already. We're just following all this stuff up so we could sue you. Because you're so easy just to trigger. It's amazing. I'll be requesting the film over there and videos and pictures that anybody took. So these guys are being trespassed, not just from the meeting, which is the OPMA, you guys could throw us out for violating the law. He didn't commit a crime. They're telling him he's got to get off the property. This is public property. He's out of the room, he's out of the meeting. They're saying because the meeting's happening in this building, he can't be anywhere in the building. That's a violation. I mean, you guys just do whatever you want. I mean, it's incredible. So the other issue is the shelter. So on their website, it says it's open to the public, but appointment required. So that's in violation of 823 Administrative Code. It also says on there that ACOs do animal cruelty investigation and animal neglect. Is that the case? Is that what's going on?
I'm sorry, repeat that question?
So the question is, it says on the website that ACOs do animal cruelty and neglect investigations. Is that true?
ACO does animal cruelty and neglect.
Is that true, Chief? Says it on the website.
Actually, let me wait till you're done before I say.
Okay. And then it also says if you have injured wildlife, to call a wildlife rehab center. Guess what? ACOs have to pick up any injured animal. So right in the ACO in Title IV, it says in there, every animal under God's kingdom you have to control. Now, if it's just there, as wildlife is around, you don't pick it up. If it's injured, they have a duty by law, by Title IV, to pick up that animal. Not to say, oh, call Raptor Trust or call some wildlife refuge center. That's not the way the law works. So I tried doing an IA earlier. Your officers said, no, I'm not doing it. So they're in violation of the law. The law says any person can file an IA with any officer at any time. So I have my tape. No, I'm not doing it. Okay, so you guys deprive a whole bunch of people here of their civil rights. I think I might just charge you criminally. So all these committees that everybody's talking about with their resumes being put in, once those people are put in, you can open request all resumes that were submitted for to be looked at. You can also look at financial disclosure statements of the mayor. You can also find out anybody that donated, so you can circle back around to see if these guys are paying to play and or connected to the mayor in any way. It seems like you guys are just kissing everybody's ass, the mayor's ass. The metal detector's new. I've been here a bunch of times. I've been all over the city.
Your time is up.
There's no law.
Sir, your time is up. Thank you.
Much long plan.
All right, anything else? So, would you like to address the ACO issue?
We have detectives, Mr. President, in regards to, that are trained in animal cruelty cases. Our detectives conduct those investigations.
Thank you.
That's not what the website
Sir, your time is up. Yes, your name and address?
Hello again, Council, and to everyone listening to my disembodied voice on Edison TV. My name is Charlie Cradaville. Once again, I'm the editor of New Brunswick Today, and from New Brunswick. I think somebody already asked the question I wanted to ask, if there was a reason that Edison TV is not showing members of the public who speak at the podium. I think the answer that was provided was laughably insufficient. I don't know what the administration's trying out here, but I agree with Councilwoman Harris. There's no good reason not to show the public, and I think folks are venting some frustration over that here tonight. But I'll give you some good reasons to restore what you used to do and show the public. One is that folks who are hard of hearing can understand what people are saying by reading their lips. They can't do that if you don't show the speaker. And I also, as somebody who watches a lot of government meetings and watches them on YouTube, which credit to Edison TV for putting them on YouTube, not only after the fact, but live, especially when it's a long meeting, I can't watch the whole thing to find the part I need. But if I can see who the speaker is, I can scrub through it on YouTube and get to the part I want to get to find out what was said by the person I wanted to hear from. And now, if you just keep the same shot on screen for the entire video, it's much harder to find the part of the video that I want to see, to do my job as a reporter. So I hope that whoever's out there listening will stop this and restore the high quality video work that Edison TV has become known for. And I think that this is unfortunately part of a pattern. I spoke about it the last time I spoke to you. Things like having the police remove people from the meetings, things like insufficient responses to Oprah requests. I even forgot to mention it last time, but there's of course the issue of the meeting videos that were deleted from the Edison TV YouTube channel of these meetings with no good reason given. And yeah, I see this as troubling, so I took time out of my day to come here and wait for my turn to speak on this. I hope that you take my comments to heart, because I think we can all get the sense that things are going in the bad direction here. Transparency is good, and over the time I've been coming to these meetings, I've seen transparency sort of vanish or fade away. Things like the remote Zoom access. That was a great thing, and I'm glad some council members support bringing it back. I think that would go a long way towards helping folks attend who don't have the time or the transportation, or it may not be in good health or may not want to drive late at night to come and speak to their representatives. I think you owe it to them to give them the full access that you can with the technology available. I also do want to thank Mr. Burns for having some dialogue with me about the Oprah request that I spoke about last time on the ethics board minutes, but the response I ultimately got from the clerk's office is woefully insufficient. I was provided with 6 records, meeting minutes for 6 different meetings, 2 of which were redacted. So I know this has become a all too familiar sight here of the big black bars blocking out what I thought was a public meeting minutes. I I don't know why redactions were made to public meeting minutes, but regardless, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 other meetings for which no minutes were provided at all. There's no good reason to be keeping these minutes a secret, and especially after learning tonight that some of the boards are defunct or dysfunctional in this town, I'm really concerned about the ethics board hiding what they're doing. The ethics board, of course, investigates the conduct of municipal employees and has the power to fine them for misconduct, and I think that what goes on there should be public. Public meetings are public. I don't think this is news to anyone, but when you're redacting the meeting minutes or failing to provide them upon an Oprah request, you're not doing your job. The clerk's office is not doing its job in terms of keeping these records. I'll also note the minutes I was provided were not signed. The response was completely silent as to my request for recordings of those meetings, and nowhere was an Oprah exemption identified to justify the redactions. The response is really deficient, and unfortunately it's not the only Oprah request that I've got a deficient response to. I also had requested some documentation of the DNC trip that the mayor took and the security detail and the expenses and reimbursements. I got one document. It was a copy of the $20,000 check.
Speaker has 1 minute.
Thank you. And the response was totally silent on my request for the backup documentation. And I understand that there is, those records do exist based upon the comments I heard on Monday's meeting, but I wasn't provided them. I've also asked for a simple police roster, the list of all the police officers you have. I want their names and their badge numbers. This should be a basic request that should be easy to fulfill. I filed it on September 12th. Request for an extension on September 23rd. I asked a follow-up question to the person who made that request for an extension. They did not respond to my question, and then on October 8th, another request for an extension. So I'm still waiting for the list of the police officers. I'm still waiting for all those ethics board meeting minutes, and I'm still waiting for the documentation of the expenses that were incurred by the township for the mayor's trip to Chicago. And I think we deserve better.
Your time is up. This year's first round. A rebuttal, okay, just so you know, rebuttals within public comments. Okay.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle.
You're recognized.
People think I'm nuts because I come to this meeting, but I come to the meeting to learn about what's going on in my township. I come, I ask questions, I look for answers, I hear what you have to say, and if anybody has any questions, I'm able to share with them. The last few meetings have been turning in a different direction, and tonight has been appalling. I don't know what's going on.
Council President, point of order. Ms. Conway, I support you, but this is not a rebuttal.
Yes, it is,
Okay.
because I'm rebutting everybody else that's been getting up here and upsetting me.
It's not a rebuttal, but I'm not going to stop you from continuing.
Elizabeth, if you can point to a specific topic that they mentioned that you can rebut.
The gentlemen that have gone before me have been standing there saying freedom of speech. And they've been talking about things that are not in appropriate decorum. I don't come here to hear vulgar language. I come here to learn about my township. I don't know what's going on behind closed doors or anywhere in any office, but I ask that this stop. Go back to it being an informational meeting to the public. Thank you.
Anybody else? This will be a rebuttal.
This will be a rebuttal. Lois Straw, 52 Rita Road.
You're recognized.
I come to these meetings, as many of you know, and I don't speak at everyone. I speak when there's a reason to speak. Well, tonight there's a reason to speak in rebuttal to what went on tonight. Allowing people to make this council meeting a clown show. It's gotten to the point where I suggest that you let them sue you and win, because they won't. If you settle with them, there'll be more of it. And it'll continue. And I have a question. Is there a way that the council can allow residents of Edison to speak prior to people from outside the community? Can you put the preference of the people of Edison speaking first? And if they don't give their residency, which is, by the way, in your code, that you have to give the name and place of your address, that if you can't, I think you can make them do that, but if you can't make them do that, then put them at the end of the speaking, so everybody here can walk out and not have to listen to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. So we don't necessarily have a way to put residents first, but I do know in general who comes here, and I tend to pick out people that, you know, I know that are gonna add to the conversation and be more informational and have a good dialogue. And then I save them until the end because I know that there's a purpose as to why they're here, and their purpose is very clear to anybody watching. But that is fine. Unfortunately, it is, as they state, their First Amendment right. They are allowed to say what they choose, and as long as they do it within the rules of this chamber and within the decorum of this chamber, I am okay to listen to them. But when they do not follow those rules, I am okay to kick them out as well. Okay, anybody else that would like to speak? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Coyle, second by Council Vice President, all in favor? And this meeting has, oh wait, one second.
Thank you.
May I get a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. May I have a second? Second. May I have a motion by Councilman Patel, second by Councilman Pointer, all in